Let's bring on the doc. It is Wednesday, day 45.
Legend.
John Maakaron comes in the show. The doc continues to bless the boys. And of course, as always, this is brought to you guys by BetUS. And please welcome Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated's own and host of the Detroit Sports Podcast, Mr. John Maakaron. Look at Mr. John, the doc, the DOC legend. How you doing, Doc?
Man, you're talking to the happiest reporter in town. Man, a month of training camp. I can't wait to talk about it. First, we get to celebrate. Penei Sewell is all good, so that's a good sign. And I got these two. The crowd has messaged. They said, drop the Coors Light, drop the American. They said, bust out the Modelo for crunch time. I said, no problem. Let's see if I get through the two while we talk about Detroit Lions football. Cheers to a great month that just happened. Detroit Lions football. There's nobody happier right now than the DOC.
I have no doubt you'll finish both of those probably within the first 15 minutes of us talking here.
Yeah, he's
absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Doc, I gotta ask you. I know you were there at practice, and you can touch on the Penei Sewell stuff. I mean, we saw the reporting now. At the time, it was a little nerve-wracking, but seeing your guys reporting and seems fine at this point, nothing serious. What are some of your takeaways? You don't got to go through, but maybe your biggest takeaways from today's practice and how the team's trending, kind of heading one day closer to the regular season and one day closer to the preseason game this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the situation in which it's a football team that's primed for the Rams game. And look, they still got a couple more evaluations that they need to do against the Steelers. And look, the scrimmage on Wednesday was great. You got to see the ones versus the ones. You got to see the defense really take it to the Detroit Lions offense. So I look at this football team that is primed and ready to go. I thought one of my favorite stories from today on Lions on SI was Dan Campbell said, look, this evaluation is going to be tough. This football team is going to let go of a lot of good football players. And I expect a handful of them to get picked up from other teams. And that's the tough spot. There's only really 6 to 7 open spots on this football team. And it just goes to show you that you probably, and others have done it as well, you probably can tell who's made the roster. So this is a football team that's ready to go. The defense has really stepped it up and brought the noise, and they're doing it without Terry Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. So I just thought that today's practice on Wednesday really showcased what this football team's about. Did you guys read about the defensive line? Literally, it was the Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson show the last couple days, and it's just really great to see the opportunity that this football team has. And like I said, today's going to be a lot about optimism. I'm excited. There's going to be drinks flowing. I'm very happy. We'll recap it as well. It was a great training camp, start to finish, to look at this football team. I'm excited. I think it's time to ramp up the optimism that this football team, when it's done, the next step is, okay, who's on the 53-man roster? Who are the final 5 to 6 pieces? But when it gets done, it's going to be exciting because it's a roster that if they stay healthy, it's going to make some noise. And I can tease something. Sports Illustrated has sent me a document, and it's going to release tomorrow, their NFL preview. It will show up on Sports Illustrated National, and it will show up on the Lions on SI site. And I promise it'll be 2, 3, 4 Modelos when you read this document. I couldn't believe it. I've read it. It is great. You're going to love it. Stay tuned to Sports Illustrated Lions on SI tomorrow. It's going to be a fun time, baby.
Love it.
The doc is in his bag right now. I love this. Is unbelievable.
I would say so.
You're putting up a 50-piece performance right now. This is an all-star performance.
Let's go. I don't like
you're going to go more than 2.
Get down to business, baby. Let's go. Number 2. Boom.
Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. Here we go, Doc. Let's go. Hey, I want to ask you this, Doc. One of the biggest, I know there's a couple big storylines, especially this week. Like you mentioned, there's 5 or 6 spots open. One group and position group I think might be the biggest one with guys that is kind of the biggest question marks is this edge group and not even just the edge group, but the defensive line. Like, like Levi stepped up big time, but then you look at the edge, you have Agude now who's playing on the edge in the Sam spot. Isaac Ukwu, who I've been very, very big on the last few weeks. He's fighting for a spot, and Dan keeps bringing him up. Matty Betts the last week has kind of stepped up a little bit. Where do you see this going? Like, what is your projection? Is Saturday going to be a big, kind of resume builder for some of these guys? Like, is there actual a chance where Matty Betts goes out there and gets another sack and dominates that he makes the team? And same with Ukwu. Like, where do these guys stand, do you think, going into Saturday and then the cut day on Tuesday?
Yeah, no doubt. Great question. I know it's a very intriguing topic. We will release our final 53-man. It'll be my document on Sunday after the game. Look, you have to always be cautious not to overreact to one game, but it's a big deal. It's the final test. But the Lions have always done a good job, and I felt Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes really do a good job of meeting together and going over an entire camp. And it's an entire body of work from really, you look at, that's why we go out to practice, how consistent, and he keeps saying it. Dan Campbell now has said it. He's not looking for this. He's looking for just do your job, steady as it goes. And if he finds people that he can trust, they make the roster. And I do think Matthew Betts, the likes of Donovan Peoples-Jones, James Houston, they have to showcase a little bit more to make this roster. Isaiah Williams is going to be a factor that needs to step up. Caden Davis. You look at it and you say there's 4 or 5 guys that are going to need to really step it up to find opportunities for this football team. It's going to be a tough roster to crack, but that's what's always great about having an opportunity to see how someone performs. And for Dan Campbell, I think he's always been honest. He just wants someone steady that understands the responsibility, doesn't get out of order or out of pocket when the pressure rises. Just do your job, be fundamentally sound, and handle business. And I just think that Saturday will be another test, and there'll be great opportunities to see if Matthew Betts and Houston make plays, Isaiah Williams, Caden Davis. And most importantly, I think it's really important for the game is probably most important for 2 people. It's important for Nate Sudfeld and Donovan Peoples-Jones because they just haven't been that consistent throughout the board.
Hey, real quick, Klotz, real quick, I want to ask Doc this. James Houston, like that situation, I brought it up a couple of days ago and had a little pushback when it came to James Houston. Like, hey, I don't know if he's a lock to make this roster. Like he was injured last week. He moved. He was pretty bad week 1 of preseason. I felt like it's like he has to go out there and play this Saturday and show up for it to not be like an actual conversation. Is that actual like a thing around the building right now that, hey, like James Houston might be on the bubble?
Hey guys, I interrupted today's video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. Currently, BetUS is offering you a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits for up to $2,000. Now, terms and conditions apply. Please bet responsibly. Link will be in the description. Sign up using our link. And with the football season coming around, Detroit Lions fans, you want to make some extra money. Well, there are lines that are currently out there that I like. For example, and I'll show you this one. Aiden Hutchinson is plus 1,200 to win Defensive Player of the Year. If I'm telling you right now, that is favorable. Good odds on a player that is expected to have a monster year. Only on betus.com. Check it out. Let's get back to the video.
Yeah, let's talk about James Houston. It's a little bit tough because he hasn't really shown that little bit of progression that you would like in his 3rd year. So first, let's drink because we got to be honest about what's going on with James Houston because he's got so much potential. My goodness. All right, let's be honest with James Houston. The guy's got potential. So I just would find it hard to let go of somebody that has the skill of being an elite pass rusher. And they've already tried to work him as an outside linebacker. It didn't work. So it makes it so that his playing time might not be as great. But if you have an elite talent, like I do at chugging beer, I just don't think that you can just let that go because I think he'll pass through waivers instantly. I think that a skill like that is coveted. It's unfortunate because you always want the best for the football players that you inherit and draft. But I think that if he's given the opportunity to just focus on being the best defensive end that he can be with this unit, I mean, I just think that you give him time to work his way back and get comfortable and do his thing. And I just think that there are some guys, look, and I think I'm one of them. You see me around, you say, oh, that guy's kind of laid back. But when the lights are on, I just get excited and I go into a different mode. I think that's what James Houston is like. I think that when it's game time and he's out on the football field, the man can wreak havoc. And I think he can do it. I think that just for whatever reason, when it comes to practice and preseason games, it's just not all there. And plus, his head's been filled with so much stuff that he just hasn't been playing free. Let the man free. The doc's advice to Aaron Glenn, set the man free. Let him drink with the doc will get his head right, and then he'll deliver. I think he's going to have some impact. It's just not going to be, it might be the ceiling of 8 sacks a year, or he might get to play, 30 to 40%, whereas we would like to see him at 60% of playing time. But the talent's there. You can't, unfortunately in football, you can't let somebody who can sack the quarterback and is prolific at it walk out the door. I just would be shocked unless he completely blows assignments and has a really bad game. James Houston is on this roster, but unfortunately he's roster spot 52 or 53 as we talk right now.
Yeah, I'm with you, Doc. I don't think you can just let James Houston walk without at least letting him see what he can do again at the defensive end spot. And shout out to you when the Wild Goose signing happened. I was like, I know that name from somewhere. Went on old Safari, clicked on the SI article, and one of your infantrymen, I think his name was Christian, wrote a very fine article about Wild Goose. But you kind of mentioned Isaiah Williams a second ago. I think after his performance, I would be shocked if he didn't at least make the practice squad, let alone the 53-man roster. Kind of a two-parter here. One, do you think Isaiah Williams makes the roster? If so, what does that look like in the regular season? And two, how many wide receivers do you think Dan Campbell and this Detroit Lions offense keeps on this team?
Yeah. Isaiah Williams really done a good job. This is a guy that has kind of been steady. It's unfortunate because, Dan Campbell's honest and he says, look, he kind of does have the role that Amon-Ra has in terms of the spot, and they need a true X receiver. So it's just really tough to see, okay, what kind of impact can he have? Where do you put him in? You put him in certain packages, maybe out of the backfield, certain sets that you can put him in. Clearly on special teams, he has a role. I think he makes the roster with a good performance. Look, it goes to show you that if you follow at Detroit Podcast, I was staying really after practice much more longer than I'm used to. And there were a couple guys that were just grinding after practice. One of them was Khalif Raymond, which you expect from the veteran. The other is Isaiah Williams. The man is grinding. He's showing that he's a hard worker, that he's taking in all the information. So you look at it and you say the special teams value, the grit that he's got, the work ethic, he's going to be part of the Detroit Lions. It's going to be a toss-up, and I think that this game will also be key. So you look at how many receivers should they keep? Well, clearly it's going to be St. Brown. It's going to be Jamison Williams, Khalif Raymond. I think you look at potentially maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones. You just keep him around because he's been in the system. He's the X receiver. Maybe the fifth is Isaiah Williams or Caden Davis. So I think right now, as we're just talking, spitballing it, I think 5 is a spot. But with the same token, you could look at it if Caden Davis balls out again. I mean, he had a 60-yard touchdown last week. He's another guy that I like. I like the fact that he's kind of been that steady force and been consistent at practice, but I just don't know because he's an undrafted free agent. He just feels like it kind of feels right now. Gut feeling is that he's a perfect example. He's a perfect fit for the practice squad. Develop a little bit more until he can get a potential opportunity with the 53-man roster. So right now, I just think 5 is the early starting point, and this game Saturday is going to be key. But it's just unfortunate because when you got Nate Sudfeld throwing you, I mean, right. Christian and I talked about it. There was a throw he made to Donovan Peoples-Jones that DPJ had no chance to get. And some of it's not his fault, but at the same token, he's got to be more of a commanding presence with his size. And there are certain situations in which he drops the ball. It's just one of those things where you just want to just see DPJ electrify a little bit and not slide under the radar. You want to see him kind of enforce his will, but I don't know if he's got that personality to go do it. It seems like he's a pro. He goes out there, he runs routes, does things, but I don't know if he's got that little bit extra intangible, a little bit of that grit that you need to say, hey, your job's on the line, man. Come on. Like play like maybe you don't have it, but play like you got a $1 million bonus waiting in the wings for you. Be a little bit more impactful with what you're doing. So I hope that DPJ takes advantage because people say he's on the roster, but if it were up to me right now, I wouldn't put him on the roster.
And just real quick, Doc, to kind of tail end off that, between Caden Davis and Isaiah Williams, who do you think as of right now is leading that race between those two?
Yeah, it's different because Caden Davis has made the splash plays, the big impactful plays, whereas Isaiah Williams is slow and steady and just that guy that Dan Campbell talks about. So to me, it's Isaiah Williams. I think he's doing the extra work. I think he's got that undrafted free agent contract that's a little bit more lucrative than you're used to. So to me, right now, Isaiah Williams has the lead because of his opportunities that he can do on special teams. And I think Caden Davis is the spot for the practice squad. I think that he's just a perfect fit for somebody that can run the scout team, do things, and then develop a little bit more.
Well, Doc, you know what I'm going to ask. My weekly Hendon Hooker update. All right.
Here we go.
And I'm gonna ask you because we talked about it last week. He had the concussion, which kind of held him back from practicing too much. I mean, we were there. He was throwing the football, but he wasn't really participating in like live. Nate Sudfeld was out there really working with the twos. What'd you make of his game on Saturday? And Dan Campbell said he'll start this week. They wanted to start him last week. They weren't able to. What do you make of him right now, his development and the way he played? I think, Doc, without practicing really, I think was even more impressive. But what do you make of him right now? Because I think with time, you want to add a quarterback or at least maybe keep Nate Sudfeld. I would recommend they don't. But if they want to keep a quarterback in there with experience, like I understand that. But I think with time, with development, and you should not need him this season. But if there's a game down the line, I think with 8 weeks of practice and developing, I think he'll be ready. What say you on just this week's game and where he's at right now as a backup?
Yeah, Hendon Hooker, it's a very intriguing topic because there's talk about merit, what he deserves versus the competition. But first and foremost, whoever's in charge over there, you guys, of flashing the comments into the screen, definitely flash Tom Izzo, those that say Johnny Mac is a warrior, those that say I love Johnny Wild Goose Macaroon. Flash them, keep them coming, because the more, yes, it's kind of like one of those things where the more you compliment, the higher energy I get. I love it. Your group is awesome. And I love
it's like those games you submit a token and it just keeps.
Yeah, your comment section is among the best. And yes, I am the John Daly of the media. I'll drink it down and I'll spit the truth. Hopefully now, the more I drink, the less I'll start talking about myself. But I'm gonna be focused. That's what I said, is that these boys kept me on, even though I said some dumbass shit on this show a couple months back. But let me say this about Hendon Hooker, because it's going to be something I got to think clearly on and say it concisely, because I have a lot of thoughts about number 2.
So we love you, John.
There we go.
Hold on. Whoa.
The dog from East Lansing.
Yeah, 2 down, baby. I should have brought more, but that's pretty good. That'll get me fired up. 2 down. Listen, I just put in a month of grinding, baby. I deserve it. Maybe 2 more after I get off this interview. Let me talk about Hendon Hooker. Look, the man is significantly better than Nate Sudfeld right now, just in terms of talent. He's just better in terms of, look, you see more upside. You see the mobility. You see the raw talent that he's got. The situation in which when he gets put into the game, the offense just looks a little bit better. So in terms of the competition with Nate Sudfeld, clearly my question, I think I did a podcast or I've done videos where I just said directly, any reps that Nate Sudfeld takes is a waste of time for the development of Hendon Hooker. So that's why I asked Dan Campbell this week. I said, okay, how many reps is Hendon basically going to take with the twos? Because I think you need to just give him exactly when the exact amount of time with the two so he can get better, because he's been repping with, unfortunately, threes at time. And that's really tough with offensive linemen sometimes that aren't exactly knowing exactly where to be at the right time and the right protection and the plays and getting the calls in. So clearly, I think it's pretty much safe to say that even though Dan Campbell told me that Sudfeld is the 2 by a small margin, I think he was maybe saying that to kind of rile up Hendon Hooker to play better and to do more. I get the experience factor, but Nate Sudfeld doesn't have that much experience in the regular season either. So what I think of his game, I thought that he slid. He did what he was told. I thought that he showcased grit. And that's what I love about talking to Dan Campbell and asking him direct questions, because he gives me direct answers. And he said, look, he did some things great in terms of moving the football, rebounding from mistakes, but he did some bad things in terms of not getting into the right checks and holding the football too long. And obviously the exchange that went astray that forced a turnover, that's a mistake. So you got a rookie quarterback. That's what you got. So in terms of his competition with Nate Sudfeld, clearly I think when the depth chart comes out, Hendon Hooker's number 2. Now you open up another conversation, which is, all right, something happened to Jared Goff. You throw Hendon Hooker out there, you need to piss your pants, because it's not going to be super special. It's going to be up and down. It's going to be a couple drives where you're like, whoa, this guy looks like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then he's going to throw the football to a linebacker in a set where you go, you should never throw that football. That's just how it is. Look, Wednesday's practice. you're going to read from me and everybody. He just had problems with the exchange. It's sloppy. It's not consistent. So he's the number 2, but at the backup spot, you all should panic that if something happens to Jared Goff, Hendon Hooker's not going to save your season. It's just not going to happen. He may get you a win. He may do what he needs to do for a time period, but defenses are going to showcase a lot more than they are now. So, Booner, listen, I got a lot of respect for you and things like that. But when I see your takeaways, I love it. And you're like, Hendon's the man. And I'm like, Booner.
Looks good.
When you put that takeaway out there, he's going against guys that are going to be doing what we're doing in 2 weeks. You can't extrapolate that way when you do a takeaway after a preseason game. What you say is, okay, he's trending in a better direction. He's making better plays. But that's why my question was so pointed, because he played in the second half. He needed to play in the first half. But Dan said that it wasn't going to happen because he missed practice time. So Hendon's the number 2. But he is not the guy right now where you say, if Goff goes down, that you're going to be comfortable. No, you should shit your pants. If Goff goes down, you should be very nervous that the season's going to fall completely off the rails. And that's just the way it is. He's a rookie quarterback that has the world thrown at him. If you told me 10 years ago, hey, do all these interviews and write all these stories and cover the team and do what I'm doing now 10 years ago off rip, then it's going to be a situation in which I would have collapsed. But now with the scenario in which I have so much more experience, I've seen things, I can handle the turbulence, I can handle drinking beers and talking at the same time and keeping my words straight and avoiding all the pitfalls. Look, it's just the way it is. He's inexperienced. So you just need continued development, and you just have to hope that Jared Goff continues to stay healthy. But to me, I would go out and get a veteran. I'd just go out and get somebody better than Nate Sudfeld, because I think it's out there. And that also helps the room. It helps Jared Goff. It helps Hendon Hooker to develop. But Hendon Hooker's a rookie, and that's the way it is. But he's got a lot of nice talent that can be enhanced down the road. But it's just year one, guys. And I'm sorry. If you think right now that Hendon can go in there and win some games, sorry, guys. I think NFL defense will be ahead of him. Right now, we're still talking about formations and snaps. I'm out there every day. I can tell you that it is up and down. And Dan Campbell said it directly. Some real good things and some real bad things. And those bad things aren't like little things. I'm talking about procedural, reading where the defense is, the checks, the protections. Listen, guys, Ben Johnson's offense is PhD level, and he's going to get there. He will get there. But it's not 2024. It's a situation in which you just need, every experience is a good experience, but that's why he needs to be the number 2 to get those experiences.
Hey, Doc, I just want to say this, and you know what? You're going to like this. You're going to like this. I'm happy that you called me out for that, because the people and our listeners, I've came on this show for the last week, and I know I tweeted that out, Doc, and it was when I put that out there that Hendon Hooker is QB2, it's because he's better. He's clearly better right now over Sudfeld. It's just that's your default QB2. And that was like when I put that out there is, hey, he looks good and he's your QB2. But to be fair, Doc, when I come on this show, out of our whole panel here of 4 guys that we have, I am the one that gets called an Hendon Hooker hater. I'm the one that gets all. If you go look at our comment section in our last 8 YouTubes, it's why does Booner hate on Hendon Hooker? And it's because, Doc, I say what you said. It's if Jared Goff goes down for 2 or 3 weeks, is Hendon Hooker ready to do it? No, he looked good in the preseason. He played good, but Jeff's laughing over there. But Jeff could probably say it. I have been saying they need to go out and get a QB2 that's going to be able to, like, if Jared Goff goes down for 2 games, you're probably going 0-2 with Hendon Hooker, and that's not good. And if you're fighting for a 1 seed, that's been my stance on it. Is if you're fighting for a 1 seed, you need every game matters. And if Hendon Hooker's not ready, he's just not ready, even if he's good or not. So I've had that stance, and I've gotten absolutely torched for it, which is fine. But I want to ask you this, Doc. I don't want to get off topic here. I apologize. Me and you were lockstep. This is why me and you, Doc, 2 peas in a pod. I want to ask you about defense, though. Other side of the ball here, defensively. You saw all of camp, and obviously last year the pass defense was like 27th in the NFL, run defense 2nd. Do you think that they're going to, like, from what you've seen so far out of the secondary, and I know there's been injuries, and I know things have happened, but do you feel like this is now that towards the end of camp, hey, this defense could take a step and end up actually being a Super Bowl winning defense? Because I've said a lot that I think the Super Bowl runs through this defense. If they can get stops and they become a top 10 defense, you're going to go win a Super Bowl. That's just how it works, especially if you have a number 2 or number 3 offense in the NFL. Do you think they're capable of doing that from what you've seen during training camp?
Yeah, no doubt. But first and foremost, full disclosure, I haven't slammed 2 beers like that in a minute, so it's starting to hit me a little bit.
Here we go,
so, yeah, here we go. It's starting to feel good up in here. But I just want to address the comments real fast. I love your guys' comments because there is pushback. Those that say, well, Hendon with the ones would be great. Of course, he would lead touchdown drives. But guys, I do like for starters, the preseason is vanilla. It's not exotic blitzes. And for me, I've studied defenses for a decade, and they're not running, the packages that are disguised. They're not doing, it's vanilla defense. So when you start getting into the intricacies of pro NFL defense, Hendon Hooker would be throwing the ball to the Bears quite a bit. He'd be throwing the ball to the Packers quite a bit. And you would have those things that would piss off a coach. Dan Campbell's blood pressure would rise, and it would force a little bit more pressure. While, yes, there would be good plays, but don't erase the stuff that Dan said. He didn't say, well, he said bad things, and he didn't elaborate on those bad things. But when you watch the film and you're at practice, you can see those bad things that'll get you to be very upset with your backup. So look, I just think he needs to develop, and I love the talent. I think he's the perfect fit for what a backup needs to be. But in terms of what you need him to do, in terms of the Super Bowl contending and getting you into a playoff scenario, it wouldn't happen. Clearly, it wouldn't happen. If Goff goes down, just like any other team, it would not go down. Now, this defense, man, they're angry. They're pissed. They ain't happy. And I think they are looking around and they're like, God, the doc every day writes about Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff and J-Mo and the offensive line. What about the shine for the defense? And it just was highlighted by I don't know if we talked about it last week, but it was eerie, in which there was a practice in which the defense is making plays and it's crickets. And Alex is like, what the hell? You can cheer for the defense. And bro, they are nasty. They are not messing around. And it was great today. Like for me, I am professional when I'm out there. Like you see me, I'm quiet. I lay back, I write down the notes and I just write down the play. But part of me, I almost came out of my seat today. We were sitting down, and I can't wait till you guys see this headline tomorrow morning at 7. But Branch said it. You can go find it. Jared Goff makes a bad read and throws it in the direction of Brock Wright. And Brian Branch is there. And if this was legitimate NFL football where you can take people's head off, Brock Wright would be done. Brian Branch would have ended Brock Wright. That's how much, and he just gave him a little nudge, but the force that would have happened, it would have been like Mortal Kombat. Finish him. It was amazing. I almost was going to come out of my chair and be like, fuck yeah, Brian Branch, fuck him up. That's what I want to see every single time from the defense, is like, go out there and launch yourself, make yourself known. That's what Derek Barnes is doing. That's what Anzalone's doing. That's what the secondary is doing. They're coming. Listen, their motto really is going to be probably, we're coming here to fuck you up. That's the motto, and that's the attitude that this group is coming to the table with. And now they got the dogs to do it. So finally, they'll make me happy, because that's the side of the ball that I love to follow, that I kind of know a lot more than, explaining XYZ receivers and things like that. No, I can explain single high safeties and zone blitzes and exotic defensive things a little bit better. I'm getting better with the offense, but this defense, if they stay healthy, they're going to get after it. The pieces are there. The puzzle looks lovely. Guys, Aiden Hutchinson dominated again. I think he made my list 4 or 5 days in a row. And I'm so grateful you guys actually liked that list. I think I started it this year where I said, fuck it, I'm just going to share what I like and just ignore what I don't. Today, I kind of threw a little spice in there because I just got to be me. But I just felt like, damn, Aiden Hutchinson dominated the entire practice. And he was in Jared Goff's face. He was He would have had 3-4 sacks today. He was just all over the place. And Ali McNeil, look, the man's hungry and he wants to get paid. And hungry, energetic guys that want to get paid are going to bust their ass. And we haven't even talked about the additions of DJ Reader and Marcus Davenport when they finally get into the mix, probably later on in the year with DJ Reader. I just think that if they're healthy, this defense is going to be something special. And I think that, look, all you need is, I don't think you need them to be top 10 for success because the offense is so good. But imagine what you can do with Iffy blitzing, or Brian Branch is ready to blitz more. He's like, I love it. I want to do the job. Amik Robertson, the safeties are great. The linebackers are pissed off and hungry. And I think they are in a situation in which this defense is feeling disrespected. And they feel like they're underappreciated. And they're feeling like, man, all these guys talk about is, can the defense step up? Can the defense step up? And I think their attitude is, watch us step up, because they won the scrimmage today. They won the scrimmage clearly with elite defensive line play. And would I say this is a Super Bowl caliber defense? Probably not, but I think it's going to be good enough to be able to complement what this offense can do. So I'm excited. And when Terrion and Ennis and the full arsenal gets here, I can't wait. Let's fast forward to October when we get to talk about the full arsenal. You'll see me here with 4 beers being super excited. And I will let you know that I was very fond of the comments that were made directed at me when I took look, you guys know I don't like taking photos of myself, but I said, you know what? I landed an interview with DJ Reader. It's in a Detroit public school. I did not set up the chairs. I just showed up, thankfully, on time. I didn't get lost. I got there and they set up everything for me. And the first thing was not, oh, good job, Doc. You landed a big interview. Great. The first comments were, God damn, motherfucker, you are short compared to DJ Reader. Well, yes, I'm short. I am 5'3" and 194 pounds. And he is 6'4" and 350. Why would I compare to him? If I compared to him, something is wrong. He is a massive defensive lineman. So I thank you for the comments. It almost hurt my feelings, but the interview was great. Played on the radio, played all over the place. And I just can't wait for DJ Reader because first and foremost, he's a nice guy. And when he comes to wreck the defense, I think that he's coming for damage. And I think that he's going to unlock Ali McNeil to make this defensive line even more special. Just imagine this. Imagine a defensive line, a front 4 of Aiden Hutchinson, Levi Onwuzurike, DJ Reader, and Ali McNeil with James Houston coming on the edge. Get the fuck out of here. It's going to be disaster for the Bears and the Vikings. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see it. I am excited to see it. I can't wait.
Doc, it sounds like you're high on this defense, and I'm excited here because, like you said, you're down there in Allen Park, but a guy that I've been high on, and you know it since we drafted him, Sion Vaki. And I think a lot of Lions fans are excited. You could see the hype and why there's hype around him both in camp and the preseason game. But my question to you is, he's obviously going to make the team. What do you think his workload is going to look like? Could it possibly be more or less than some Lions fans think? And how do you think that falls into place with Craig Reynolds also being on the team? And it looks like he could make the roster too as well if they're going to keep a lesser amount of receivers.
Yeah, no doubt. Unless you hear bad news about Craig Reynolds, 4 running backs make this roster, and Sione Vaki's clearly going to make the roster. And it was great this week, man. I feel bad. I don't know if I, put him on blast for being able to sing. I know that he wasn't exactly comfortable putting that out there publicly, but he did it. I told him, man, good sport. Thank you. But, to give you a little insight, he gets told beforehand by somebody, hey, somebody's been asking about your singing and they might ask you to sing. And he looked like, a deer in the headlight. I felt so bad. I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? And of course, I just asked the question, like, what did you do? And of course, the television people were going to ask him, hey, sing for us. But at the same token, I love what he brings to the table. Another weapon, another guy that can clearly out of the backfield do some things, but he just got to work on making the right cuts, not being, and it's interesting because you clearly see running backs when they first get to the league, they get happy feet and they start, tapping their feet a little bit. And the running backs coach is, God damn it, I don't think Scotty Montgomery, I don't think I've heard him openly cuss, but the best way to do it, if I would do it, would be like, God damn it, motherfucker, stop pedaling your feet, moving forward and keep it going, which is hit the damn hole, recognize it, and go forward. Stop pitter-pattering and waffling, get after it. And that's what he's got to recognize, which is, hey, hit the hole, make a clear, concise cut, and go. Stop fucking around with all those extra dance steps.
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, but it's he's inexperienced, so he needs to hear it, and he'll get better at it. But boy, out of the backfield, I think that clearly, I would even say a question that I would ask next week would be, what kind of role do you see him having? I'd say you play him 25%, good third down opportunities, first down when you want to make a nice screen pass or have an opportunity where it's like 2nd and 1, and you want to take a stab, you throw him out there. But yeah, I play him 25% of offensive snaps. You get him out there as much as possible. And I think that he's going to be special. He's got the right mindset. He's uber talented. He won the rookie talent show from what everybody told me in my research. And he's got a good voice. He's multi-talented, and I think he's a pro. But yeah, I think he's still RB4. Craig Reynolds is great in blocking. He's great. He's all around, and he lit it up this week. Like, he played like his job was on the line, and he had a big touchdown. And I just think that he's the total package as a back. So while Vaki has the flash and the potential, he ain't the total running back package that even Craig Reynolds is. But man, if you're starting right now where we say you're just scratching the surface of the talent that Vaki has, you got 4 running backs that either or in any spot could dominate with this offensive line. So I'm excited. I like seeing him out there. I'm writing 33 all over the place, and he's getting targets. And I think that once he keeps learning and getting, remember too, he's a converted safety. So once he develops the skills that he needs to get out there and handle business, you got a dog out there. You got a good one.
Doc, this guy's, you said he's playing for his job. The guy's singing for his job. Look at this.
This was on NFL's Instagram too.
Yeah. And look, I can give you guys insight because listen, when you're an NFL reporter and you're in the trenches doing it, it's hardcore football. It's almost 24/7. Like, you just sometimes feel like you can't sleep because something's going to break, or you're going to hear something from someone, or someone's going to message you. But at some token, I feel like the interviews with Dan Campbell got real football heavy. It was like, tell me about this player and this depth. It was like ultra, super, uber football. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, I love it, but there's only a certain amount of that I can take. I need a little bit of entertainment in my life. So I said, I'm going to research what the hell happened at the rookie show. That was my thesis for the week. I clearly was going to understand the roster and all that. But I said, I want to know what the hell happened. Who shined? Did someone bomb? So luckily the players were gracious enough. And the first guy that talked to me was Craig Reynolds. And he was so excited. And he was like, Vaki time. He was like, Vaki tore it down. And I got the scoops, and I was like, all right, Vaki tore it down. And then again today, I was like, please let me get a chance to ask Dan Campbell, because it was all football heavy questions from the media. And I almost fell asleep. It was like, oh my God, we're going to know about, tell me about your perception of this. Tell me about, I was like this in the media room, like, all right, let's talk a little bit about something spicy. So I said, all right, let me ask Dan Campbell about Vaki. And so the origins of Vaki singing come from the DOC. And I hope that a little bit of entertainment came your way, and you learned something a little bit. But they tore it down. A lot of singers up in the rookie room in Allen Park. And I look at it and I say, hey, if you're gonna sing in front of the guys, you better have a good voice. And he does. And it was very cool to hear him do his thing. And he was willing to do it in front of the media. So he's multi-talented. But the question is, if you're Isaiah Williams, how are you going to try to tell a joke in front of a group of guys and not know that it's kind of a popular joke? Isaiah Williams got booed off the stage within like 5 seconds. Could you imagine? You're just getting into the talk about the joke and the Lions are booing your ass. So I hope when I check in next week, I hope that he does better, because he's going to get a second chance. Isaiah Williams was open because all the players were so nice. They're like, Doc, I'm not, they say, John, I'm not going to really tell you who got booed off the stage. Isaiah walks right up to me. Yeah, man, it was great. Vaki was great, man. Yeah, I got booed off the stage. And I was like, yeah, some information. The story came together great. Check it out. Tyrion crushed it. Ennis crushed it. And I'm going to leave you guys with this image. All right. Imagine a 6'7", 300-pound offensive lineman with his shirt off in front of a football team singing Backstreet Boys. That's what Manu did. I want it that way. Manu got up there and tell me why.
Sounds like
Here we go, Doc.
Now, of course, the internet's like, Doc, go get the video. Please, guys, listen, Lions, if you ever hear this, put out the video. We want to see this show because it was awesome. Tyrion sang, Ennis sang. Wingo, I think, did a cultural thing that really took off. But Vaki was I want to see Vaki and Manus, and I want to see the Lions boo the shit out of Isaiah Williams.
Yeah, that stuff was gold on Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I'd be scared to boo Giovanni Manu. I don't know what else. Yeah. He's just so big. Good job. Isaiah Williams, he said he did like jokes. Is that what he was doing? Comedy?
Well, Isaiah Williams tried to tell a joke that I think that's been popular. So it was instantly recognized as something that's been done before or not that great. Okay. And Taylor Decker was just right away like, oh, no, this ain't going to fly. And the crowd turned quick. Like he got booed literally like stop the joke and get off. So they were ruthless. And look at even Dan Campbell was like, yeah, Vaki was good, but the performance was meh. So I love it. That's what I was uniquely intrigued by. Of course, I'm going to get intrigued by nonsense. So hey, check it out. People like the story. It's just a little bit different than the heavy football because the other 8 stories were football heavy. I needed a little bit of entertainment in my life, and I thought that story just was the right time. And the media room liked it too because they were just like, oh my God, hearing what the hell I was telling them about who was singing, who was bombing, it was intriguing. And I think it did, change up the mix because Dan Campbell was just hardcore football for 10 minutes. And I'm like, I definitely have to get out there and mix it up a little bit, say something a little bit more spicy. Need a little bit of pepper in the soup there.
I want to.
Oh, go ahead. My bad, Jeff. Go.
Yeah,
go crazy.
We talked about it earlier. Biggest steal of the offseason, John, and a player that I've been following, Amik Robertson. It's been interesting because I said it about a month ago. He would be my pick to be in the slot to play nickel. How's he been trending? I know he's looked pretty good this preseason. Could you certainly at this point pretty much say that guy he's going to be in the nickel come week 1?
No doubt. Yeah, week 1 starter, veteran. You go with it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Rakestraw by week 3-4, he's the man. Rakestraw is a gamer. I think that he can quickly move up the depth chart and make plays. I think that he's got the right makeup, the right physical tools, just got to learn the game. And I think he'll be in the mix too for a lot of playing times, maybe in the second quarter of the season. But right now, Amik Robertson's a dog. And I think that, the one thing with his position is he's prone to gamble. And when he gambled, you saw what happened against the Chiefs. He got burned.
Yeah.
And there's some things that's going to happen. And I think that might not be the first and only time you see that happen, but he'll always rebound. He'll always be a gamer. And look, he still made plays against the Chiefs. So I think the right mix will be Rakestraw, Branch, and Amik Robertson at that spot with Robertson starting. And I think that you're going to be satisfied with what happens. And I just think that spot needs to have someone that's a dog that wants to tackle, wants to prove things. And there's opportunities that you can use them. I just think that, his size is going to be a detriment. I think quarterbacks are going to pick on him a little bit, especially against a big-bodied slot receiver or, moving guys around on offense will put some mismatches out there for the Lions defense. But at the same token, if you can pressure the quarterback, it won't make a difference. And if Carlton Davis, who did pick off Jared Goff today for a pick 6, if he steps up with Tyrion Arnold, that just makes the play of Amik Robertson that much better.
Doc, one last football question from me, at least here. It's kind of a weird question, but I feel like obviously we know what Jared Goff is, the leader of this team, QB1, just got paid. Through camp, though, it feels like we have seen some days, we were there last Wednesday, and I'm sure you can attest to this. He was just making some incredible throws. It was like, hey, we don't see Jared Goff make that many consistent, just insane throws. And then there's a day like today where he's throwing multiple picks. And obviously, I'm sure he still had some touchdowns today. What is your kind of outlook and I would say expectation for Jared going into this year? Is it just the same as last year, what he did? Or is there maybe we're going to see a new, not a new Jared Goff, but like an improved one? Because I did bring the take up that I do think if the Lions are, win 13 games and they go into San Francisco week 17, they win, and Jared has, 4,700 yards with 30-something touchdowns, 7 interceptions, he may be considered an MVP just based off like how Brock Purdy was last year. Do you see him just being like last year, or do you think there's another step for him to take in his career this season?
Yeah, Jared Goff talk, man. I love it. I think that, clearly what we saw in a practice there was unbelievable. He was zipping it all over the place, crisp. That's how it is, up and down, and the defense has brought it. They brought the pressure, and this is good because I think iron sharpens iron, and it'll be good for Jared Goff. And Dan Campbell said beforehand, they were trying different things that maybe Jared hadn't seen before, different looks, different ways in which they were attacking him. And of course, that was going to be disruptive. So that's just all good. Look, 2 picks in practice. Look, and I know people will say, when you write that, you'll say, oh my God, they'll extrapolate it out a little bit too far in terms of their assessment. But the defense was really part of the story today. And they forced Jared Goff to be uncomfortable, but he's going to learn from it. He'll learn definitely to adapt. And he's one of the smartest quarterbacks out there. You got to give him his due for being a prototypical pocket passer that can do some things. And I think that when he's on with this group and the emergence of J-Mo and listen, man, the connection that I just wish everybody could be blessed to see the connection that he has with Amon-Ra. Today, it was just literally when you needed to play, Amon-Ra over the middle, Amon-Ra to the right, Amon-Ra to the left, 10 catches for, I think, over 100 yards. And he was just all over the place in a game, in a scrimmage in which the practice was dominated by the defense. So, look, I think the least of your concerns is Jared Goff. I think that one thing you'd hope he gets better at is the connection deep with J-Mo. It's up and down, but that's kind of how it is because I think that, cornerbacks are going to press J-Mo. They're going to work him to a spot, and, the coverages are going to blend and work in a great way to, have, coverage and bracket it in a way that will sometimes limit J-Mo. So that's why it's great to have the great running backs and the tight ends for underneath type stuff. So to me, I'm not worried about Jared Goff. I think that he should be celebrated. I think that getting this football team to the NFC Championship game was no small task. The other guy couldn't do it. Mr. Sleep Mattress couldn't do it. I'm happy with Jared Goff. Now, it's a different conversation in which do I think he can lead this team to the Super Bowl and win it? That's a different conversation, but we don't need to have that right now. But we can say he's the man for the job right now to get a bunch of wins, to handle business, to be able to do what you got to do. But remember, I'm the defensive coordinator, so I would have my way of attacking Jared Goff. I mean, I've talked to former college coaches and NFL coaches and guys and be like, okay, I don't like sit there and have beers with them. I say, hey, if you're going up against Jared Goff, what would you do? And they tell me, and it makes sense. So it's fun to see if Jared Goff will rise to the occasion, knowing what opponents are going to do to him. And I think he can. I think that he's got the right mindset. He's got everything you need to do it. It's just going to be, does the formula fit when it's crunch time? And he also needs his defense to step up at a high level. But I'm excited to watch Jared Goff. And I'm also excited to see what this defense can do too, because they put him through it today and they went after him. And man, I just wish, for me, I'm 45, but I'm not that old. But I just wish in practice, you could lay out the quarterback. I know it sucks because they get hurt and they make so much money, but Aiden Hutchinson would have made Jared Goff his roommate because he would have been like laying up next to him for at least half of the plays this training camp. And it was a great sight to see. But Jared Goff has handled it, and he's had some good plays as well. But man, that defense did something today at least.
Love it. Great stuff, Doc. We appreciate you as always.
Never disappoint, Doc.
Yeah,
Never
he
won.
doesn't. Gets the Modelo's flowing, and Doc just gets absolutely locked in. Doc, we'll talk to you next week. You have a great weekend. Please, guys, go check out. Link will be in the description. Go read Doc's stuff. The dude is active. So is Christian and Vito, and those guys do a great job. So we'll catch you next week.
Man.
We'll catch you next week, John. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. Just give me 60 seconds here. Look, check out the landing page. I really did come into training camp with the goal of just being better than last year, and I think we did that. If you come to Lions on SI for free, you will get Detroit Lions insider coverage, energetic, passionate videos, highlights, entertainment, and fun stuff. And I do think that we're in the mix. I think people react to the stuff we're doing. Things are trending upward. I owe a lot to what you guys did as well to highlight an ass like myself every single week throughout the training camp. I owe a lot to what you guys did for me. And like I said, I always will give credit to what you guys did. You and guys like Adam challenged me to be different than what I was. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have the success. So I always want to say, first and foremost, if you can get Adam to wear a mask or talk in a different name, just get the guy that kind of sounds like Adam and get him on here. It'll be good because that guy has a lot to say, and he's a wise guy beyond his years. And I wish that he could speak in a free manner, but maybe have him dress up differently or just have a black box and a voice. Maybe they can't legally prove that that's him, and you just call him Sam or Sammy or Mohammed or something different. Just do
Bro said Mohammed.
Yeah,
like we're interviewing like a cartel member or something. How they just have to
it's like a voice changer, and it's like they're dark and voice changer can't see them. Yeah,
the deep voice.
Listen, Adam Smith is a great guy, and I think he does a good job. The Arab guy, no, you keep him off the air, dude. That guy's an ass.
Yeah.
Adam Smith is the guy you need to bring up here because the other guy, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
ADAM.
Yeah,
ADAM. Yeah.
ADAM,
Listen, we keep all the other troublemakers off the air. That's the number one thing we do. Adam Smith is the guy.
There you go. You know what, Doc? We appreciate you. I'm letting you get away without us saying that. You are the man. Our favorite segment every single week. Guys, go check out Doc. Support.
Hey,
man. We'll catch you.
The next time, Doc, the next time we talk to you, their 53-man roster will be out. So can't wait.
No doubt.
Let's go.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
DOC,
John
John
Maakaron.
Absolute dog.